Second job was piling that wood, and then when I ran my mouth, it was moving the wood pile to a different area of the yard. We did that for a lot of years, and then when I was 14, my first job, when I got my working papers, I worked at a pool. I was a pool boy, and let me tell you, it was in an area, the town I grew up in was sort of like, you ever see Dirty Dancing? Okay, now check this out, right? I had the time of my life at this job. And that movie was based on what my hometown was 50, 60 years ago. So the Dirty Dancing culture existed in upstate New York, is where it was, where that all based around, in the 50s and 60s. But 30, 40 years later, it was like 40 years later when I was working there at the pool, the same clientele, they were still tipping like it was the 50s and 60s, and I'd bring them some soda and some towels and show them, bring them to the pool and take care of them and stuff. They'd be like, "Here you go, honey, that's for you." And it'd be like a nickel and stuff like that. Yeah, I was like, man, it's terrible. So all my money just went right back to the arcade. So I made like $6 a day. So it was like a good 2 hours of arcade. So I basically worked for free for that place. And then I had a slew of different jobs. I was a lifeguard then for a few years. Bartended very briefly. I walked dogs. That's a cool job, let me tell you. One time I was walking dogs in New York City, right? And the woman whose dogs I was walking in one of the apartments, she had a show dog, and she had a retired show dog. She said it was retired, as if it had a real job. Yeah, it was real weird. And so one time, it was really weird. One day, I showed up at her apartment. It's like 7 o'clock in the morning. I walked in at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, every morning. And it's pouring rain outside, right? And she goes, she meets me at the door with the dogs. She said, listen, I know it's raining outside, but try not to get the dog's paws wet. Is that cool? I said, what? She said, I know, but these are show dogs, and even though this one's retired, if their paws get wet, it's really hard to comb out the knots in between their toes. I said, toes? Okay. I said, okay, I'll make sure I don't get their paws wet in the pouring rain. So this is my last day of work there, obviously, because I took those dogs for a run through Central Park that you've never seen before. I ran those dogs like work dogs, man. I was like, come on, let's get dirty. You guys want to wrestle? You guys want to wrestle on the baseball field? Let's run on the bases for a while, huh? Good idea. Let's slide into home. Cool. Now it's time to go home, And that was my last day of work. Because she was crazy. Yeah, okay. Anyway.
Being a dog.
Could you imagine? It was so weird. You should have seen how these dogs lived. They had like a castle. They had their bedroom was half the size of this room. And in New York City, that's like stupid money, It's ridiculous. That's like Donald Trump money. And at the time, me and my brother were sharing an apartment that was like this big. They were sleeping in the same room. But these dogs were living, oh man, they were living good. Eating T-bone steaks. And then I became but before I moved to New York, I worked for a lumber yard. We worked on houses and such. That's how I raised money to move to New York City. It's really like a country song. I worked at a lumber yard, and then I sold my truck. That's actually what happened. And then I moved to the city, and I had a bunch of odd jobs. Waited tables. Weirdest place I ever waited tables was at a kosher Chinese restaurant. That was the weirdest place. Anybody ever heard of a kosher Chinese restaurant? Exactly. But I worked at one, and that was really weird. And then I worked at some Italian restaurants, played piano in some Italian restaurants, and used to bring my guitar down to the subway and stuff like that. I had a lot of jobs. I wasn't good at any of them. I think I was intentionally bad at those jobs, so I would have no other options. I was a very disgruntled waiter. I was like, no, let me stir that for you. There you go, buddy.